Hey y'all, it's Adrielle. Welcome back to another episode of DEI in 5. Today I am here with one of my favorite folks, Caren Young, aka the professional adult. And we're going to try to keep this short, although we tend to go on a little bit of a rant when we have conversations, but we're going to try to do this in 5 minutes, maybe 7 at the most. But today we wanted to talk about this idea of people needing to stop making the business case for diversity. There was a Harvard Business Review article that came out not long ago talking about this. I'm going to quickly read the summary. We'll also include the link below, but then we'll just kind of chat through our take on this. So it says 80% of Fortune 500 companies explain their interest in diversity by making some form of a business case, justifying diversity in the workplace on the grounds that it benefits companies' bottom line. And yet in a recent study, the authors found that this approach actually makes underrepresented job candidates a lot less interested in working with an organization. This is because rhetoric that makes the business case for diversity sends a subtle yet impactful sign that organizations view employees from underrepresented groups as a means to an end, ultimately undermining DEI efforts before employers have even had the chance to interact with potential employees. Based on their findings, the authors suggest that if organizations must justify their commitment to diversity, they should do so by making a fairness case. That is an argument based on moral grounds, but to achieve the best results, they should consider not making any case at all. After all, companies don't feel the need to explain why they believe in values such as innovation, resilience, or integrity. So why treat diversity any differently? All right, what are your thoughts on this?
I agree 100,000%. And this is one of the things that truly, truly grinds my gears. And I say it all the time, especially coming from a background of tech product management. We never have to justify the case of modernization. Right. We never have to justify the case of innovation. We never have to justify the case of doing things for the sake of pretty much because it's cool. Why do I have to justify the sake of my humanity? Why do I have to justify the sake of being a good person and caring about all of those people around you? Like it just grinds my gears that is considered a business case we have to make.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, it's interesting. I mean, we have all this research that really leans into the diversity piece, putting equity and inclusion aside. More diverse teams are more innovative, drive revenue, et cetera. And then thinking about the equity and inclusion, when people feel included, have the sense of belonging and fairness, they can do better work and be more productive, et cetera. But the problem is, and I think those things are all true, right? And we've seen them to be proven true. However, the vast majority of companies are not at a place where DEI is at a point where it's influencing the business case like that, because there's just so much pushback on it, number one. And number two, the lack of consistency is just really, it doesn't help us get there. There was a snapshot of companies' DEI progress, and it was from a survey conducted last year. And there are a ton of frameworks out there to kind of show you the DEI maturity, right? The DEI maturity models. There are a couple of varieties of those out there. HBR has one. Theirs is aware, compliant, tactical, integrated, and then sustainable. And they found that a good chunk of people, 31.6% of companies, are in the compliant stage, which means DEI in my organization is focused on compliance with EEOC and other legal requirements. The next highest is 22.7, which is at integrated, and it says DEI is part of everything we do as an organization. We have both internal and external efforts on DEI, but I would be curious to see what that actually looks like, because people will say they're at that integration phase, and in reality, it's not fully there. They're still at that tactical stage where, DEI has been connected to the business initiatives and outcomes. They might consider integrated as, we've rolled out ERGs and we have all of these cultural heritage month celebrations and things like that, but to really have it integrated into all aspects of the business, the legal side of the business, the finance, the research and development, sales, anything, technology, like all those verticals, I have yet to really see. And I would love to see those 22.7% of companies that were in that survey.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many people are frankly aspirational in where they really are. I am working with a federal client. And that was the first thing that we worked on, was developing a maturity model. But even before we decided to create the maturity model, we had to determine how we knew where we were.
Right.
And how do you know the metrics of, like, if you are in compliance, what does compliance actually mean?
Right. Right.
And so, because if not, people are going to always say that they are in a higher place than they actually are. And so the thing that I'd like to know about all of these maturity models is, how do you know what you know? How do you know where you are? What are your metrics? And that, again, goes back to our original point where, justifying kind of where you are, everyone's so quick to throw metrics and stuff for everything else. But when it comes to DEI, it's just kind of, I don't know how we feel about things.
Right.
And it opens the door for everyone just to kind of be super loosey-goosey on it, and that's not okay.
It's very subjective, right? And I think that is one of the things that we frequently see in the DEI space, is that there's no universal way to measure things or to track success. No one has established sort of the golden rules for it. And I don't know that it'll ever be possible, right? Thinking about the fact that this work isn't a one size fits all approach, right? We can't just, like, if you compare it to the legal industry, there are very concrete rules that we follow, which a lot of them are outdated. A lot of them are inequitable, but that's another conversation. But it is very regulated, right? Whereas DEI, on the other hand, much like I did a video, I think yesterday, about ESG as well, environmental, social governance, right? And, that people are more into that because they feel it's measurable and there's metrics there. However, those metrics are, quite frankly, BS. They are also very subjective. There's no standard over there either. There's just a bunch of agencies waving their little wands saying, hey, here's how we're measuring this. And, you can go listen to that video about my other reasons for why ESG is more palatable than DEI for a lot of folks. But all these measurements, you can't, we talk about this all the time, Caren, you cannot put a number to a human. It's just not always possible. It's just
no. We are such complex and interesting and quirky things as human beings that it's just really hard to put metrics to it. And the more you try to codify it, the harder it becomes. You can't. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. Well, I know we are running over. We could go on and on, but DEI in 5, we'll have to bring back some of our longer form discussions. Yeah. But like I said, I'll drop some links below if you're interested in reading more. And you can go follow Caren at The Professional Adult. I'll tag her YouTube and social links below. And I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of DEI in 5. Thanks for listening.